Hello, good and wonderful people. So today you have me, Telvin. Hi. I'll be representing hashtag at Fork Agency. I am the integration engineer. So today we will be covering how to add an endpoint via Patchworks. So as you can remember from the last video, we imported using Postman collection, and we imported it into Patchworks. So today we're going to be going off from there. As you know, we're using loop returns. So I have it open here. I'm going to use some of the documentation just to show you how everything works and so that we are on the same page. So let's go. One thing I cannot emphasize enough is Patchworks is wildly easy, and with me here should be more than straightforward. So onto the endpoints we go. So we made one before and we're going to continue from there. So we're going to make one for, it's called flag return. Yeah, so it's right here in the scope. Let's pick one scope here. So this one, yeah. So yeah, and it is return, and we are specifying that sending. And okay, so we have the variables, yeah. So at this particular point, authentication, we will have to add authentication. So at this particular point, you need variables. So if you look at the documentation, you see that they only have, they only have one parameter that is required, which is the return ID. Yeah? So create that return ID. Yeah. Put a default value of none, and then we want it to be known by that. So that's going to be the name. Could be the same thing as the alias, but at this point we have to make sure that it's required. Yeah, all good, required, awesome. So that's done. Next thing, we have to go to the URL, and at this point you notice that you have to put which kind of method it is, and it uses post, right? As you can see from the documentation right here in the corner. And what URL is it hitting? So as you can see, the URL is right on top here. Highlight it very quickly and pick it up and drop it in here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yes, we will need an authentication method. That's where we're going to next. Yeah, so it's right here. So at this point is where specifically I feel that Patchworks shines. So we're going to be making an authentication method for interacting with those endpoints, which is necessary. So standard is auth. I'm going to name it auth, but you have to know which kind of auth you're using. Yeah. So standard auth is normal, and most endpoints, most APIs do use auth as standard. So when it comes to the option of choosing between auth2 authorization code or auth2 client, this is for server to server, and this is for like server to user. You should think about this in terms of Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, where the user has to press accept, or they have to get prompted. So since this is, just working the backgrounds and it's server to server, you just choose that. And to reference the docs, let me show you right here, where we get that is this here. So I'll just copy that, the documentation here, just to show where it comes from. Now we go in, and look at that. Already you have fields that have already been populated, and they've also been placed as required. That's amazing. Saves a lot of time as well. Like, as a developer, it saves, well, a bit of time, which is good. So at this particular point, there's something that you need to note with loop returns. They have their own authentication on top of it, which is like an encryption to show that it's coming specifically from loops servers. So they put it in a header, as you can see here on the other side. They put it in a header called X signature. So this X signature is something that you have to actually create. Yeah. So you add it as a header, and for now it's none, but you will be required to actually fill it out. So moving along, we go into the body, where we have the algorithm itself in like a script that encrypts the secret. So at this point, you have to note that with the word secret, or like the variable secret, Patchworks has already populated it as client secret. So this will be important to us in a bit. So go to the body, and going to write a tiny script. So I have tiny script here populated. So with that script, picking up the necessary, it's all on the documentation. So I'm picking up the necessary information, and then I'm putting it inside the encryption, and you have to provide something called your secret. So this bit, we can change that to this variables. So you can change that to this client secret. Okay, so go back to it, and that'll be like the placeholder, so that when you're filling it out, like as a requirement, it's already masked, or something of like you've created another variable where it just reads off it per se. It just knows, so it'll just pick it up off here, the variables. Okay, so that's straightforward, and you've now put 2 authentication methods that are required by loop returns, and you save, and that's ready to go. And here you go. So with this, you have to make sure that it is post, and providing the necessary endpoint is very crucial. So you cannot point is good. Authentication, yes, save. Perfect, all done. There you go. And yeah, that easy.